This is Orion, KE7VLC. I got Dennis in the office
Yeah,
as
I'm
well.
here.
So there's at least three of us. Hopefully soon Frank will be joining us and everything. Um, Tonight's meeting, I'll try to keep it short, but uh, I always say that, and meetings end up going like 6 hours long. Uh, so I guess what we'll do is we'll give it a little bit more time, see how many more people will show up. And I've got three people watching, so obviously me. I have a feeling it's my brother and probably Frank as well. So let's see here. Yes, we do have chat. Obviously, you can hear my keyboard clicking away in the background. Am I clipping or anything like that? It looks like I'm getting a little into the yellow, but yellow's not too bad. As long as I'm not getting into the red, I should be okay. So I hope everybody's week is going pretty good. So tonight's meeting, what we're going to do is we're going to start covering. We're going to talk about Skywarn classes that are coming up. This is not through the club. This is through the National Weather Service. No affiliation. Just throwing this information out there. I was going to talk a little bit about the ARRL's little wanting to grant technician. Grant them HF privileges. I'm not a big fan of it, but a couple people have mentioned that I mean, if it gets more people into ham radio, then that's fine. But and I understand their background on it. I'm not going to bash the ARRL tonight. not too hard. Frank and I were discussing their whole entire Puerto Rico response. And there's a lot of lessons to learn. We'll probably have to cover that one night, just kind of go through whatever, what all happened and everything. But so I'm hoping that everybody's doing fairly decent tonight. Let's see here. Oh, well, only three people are watching it right now, so I'm just going to continue on. So let's start with and we'll go without the video. Transition over. So what we'll do is we'll start talking about the Skywarn classes. Skywarn is, especially in the Midwest area, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Ohio, Illinois, those areas. Skywarn does a really big job there. Here in Arizona, and they get involved whenever there might be a monsoon or something come ripping through. But usually what they do is they just take critical calls or criteria calls is really what the terminology is. That's anything within the National Weather Service's specifications, like 2 inches of rain in a half hour or something like that. You have to attend classes in order to be certified. And quite honestly, the classes are very simple. You sit there and you listen to a National Weather Service guy get up there and talk about the whole entire Skywarn program, as well as what the criteria is. He shows you some video clips of tornadoes, downbursts, updrafts, things of that nature. It's a really nice little program, and I encourage everybody to take it. It's just one of those little programs that kind of helps you as helps the community, as well as helps yourself kind of identify exactly what kind of weather patterns are going to be showing up. But here in Phoenix, I mean, it's I always call it a running joke, just because a lot of the reports that they get, it's it started raining over here in East Mesa or something like that, and the National Weather Service, they're not really too concerned about whether it's raining in a specific area. They're really kind of worried about criteria like, okay, how much rain is actually coming down, because that causes floods. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Skywarn. They've got a really nice page here, skywarn.org. This page is actually not affiliated with the National Weather Service. However, they do a lot of little training events. They've got frequently asked questions. They've got photo galleries, and if you look in there, you can even find local training classes for basically any part of the country. They do ask that you sign up and stuff of that nature, but this is just one resource. The next resource is actually the National Weather Service website itself. This one happens to be the Phoenix office, which covers Southeast California, Southwest, and South Central Arizona. If we go back over here, this is basically the map. You've got the Flagstaff Skywarn program, which covers Yavapai, Coconino, Navajo, and Apache, as well as northern part of Gila County, southern part of Gila County, Maricopa, northern part of Pinal County, La Paz, and Yuma is all covered by the Phoenix Skywarn program. And then the rest is basically the Tucson Skywarn. It's basically split up by the National Weather Service. This is roughly about what their National Weather Service blocks are. And then obviously the Mojave is out of Las Vegas because it's closer to Vegas anyways. So anyways, here's the National Weather Service page for the Phoenix metro area. This frequency right here is incorrect. The 442.800 megahertz repeater is no longer active. I've already verified this with Virgil. Yeah, the repeater owner actually, basically, he retired up in Sholo now, and he just pulled the whole entire repeater off the air without even telling anybody.
So they're only 147.200 now?
Well, the 147.200 actually covers the Tucson, Pinal, Graham area. They're at, and I can't remember the frequency, and I'll get that frequency and post it up on our website as well. But there is a frequency change, and I did email the National Weather Service. I emailed Austin this evening, letting them know about that repeater is no longer on the air. So this page needs to be updated slightly. So, but this is, you can find this by typing in NWS space Phoenix, and it'll come up to their main homepage. And I'll go right ahead and do that really quick. NWS Phoenix. And it comes up to weather.gov/PSR, and you click on it. This is what the National Weather Service page looks like. For those of you who have not been to this page, you can come over here and just click on any one of these parts of the map, and it'll actually drill down and give you the forecast for that area. And you got the Phoenix radar, the Yuma radar, you got the satellite. And I believe this is the GOES 16. I believe the GOES 17 will be up sometime soon. That actual radar is actually, or not radar, satellite is actually really detailed. It's supposed to do a lot better job than what the normal satellites do. But I'll go right ahead. We'll click on roughly about the area where we're going to be going camping at in a couple weekends. So I'll click roughly about where it's going to be located at, and I was actually pretty darn close. So you can see that here's the map. If that little green dot is where I clicked on, you can zoom in and change it if you want to. It'll take a little while to refresh, but here's the forecast. This is where I get all of our weather forecasts for camping. When I go camping, this is the page that I usually look at. Not that I necessarily trust them all that often, but it is the National Weather Service. So yeah, it'd be kind of fun to camp tonight. 34 degrees with a 20% chance of snow. Yeah, I'll take it.
Chance.
Yeah,
chance.
That's a chance. It doesn't necessarily, it means that 80%
It'll be cold, but no snow.
Yeah, exactly. But But if you want to change where you're looking at, you can always come back over to the map and click on a different segment of the map. Um, so here's Saturday is not going to be a fun day for us. It's a high of 90 with a low of 59 degrees. I'm not looking forward to that day. I'd rather be camping. Anyway, here's the detailed forecast. You can read it, go up and down, read it. So if you ever want to, come peruse what the National Weather Service has, just feel free to type in like NWS. Corey, I know you're in Dallas, so if you typed in NWS Dallas, you pull up the Dallas National Weather Service page, and pretty much all their pages are almost identical. I believe some have a little slightly different look and feel to it, but I think they do a good job of keeping this information up here, and it's a great resource. So don't discount it. But tonight, when we're talking about Skywarn here, so Skywarn, it's a great little program. Essentially, what it is a whole bunch of volunteer weather spotters. Or you're not a weather forecaster or anything like that. You can choose to sit at home, or you can step outside or take a drive around and do reports if you want. They've got specific criteria that you're supposed to be looking for, and then you either call it in if the National Weather Service grants or activates Skywarn, then the local repeater will basically come to live. There'll be somebody standing on that frequency letting you know what's going on. They'll give you updated forecasts and stuff of that nature. But I sometimes I sit there and laugh about our local Skywarn, because they'll announce that, okay, we're only taking criteria tonight, only criteria reports, and then some guy will get on there and call in and say, hey, are you guys up and running? Are you activated? It's raining over at my location, and they'll ask him, well, what, how much rain? Oh, not very much, a few sprinkles. And I kind of wish hams would just learn a little bit, educate themselves, not to just jump on the frequency and ask if Skywarn's activated, and kind of listen to what the net control operators are asking for. That way, if there is somebody with criteria, and here's the reason why, okay? If there's somebody with criteria report, let's say a tornado is touching down, and you've got a whole bunch of people calling in asking if the Skywarn's activated, or reporting that there's sprinkles over in the Mesa area, and they're trying to get a little bit rough, idea of where you're at and everything, and there's somebody out there with a tornado touching down. Now you've got an issue where you're blocking criteria traffic, and for traffic that is not really all that worthy of National Weather Service's idea or information. So I strongly urge people, if you're going to be involved with Skywarn, take it serious, and listen to the net control operators. Otherwise, there is a phone number that you can actually call. I think there's an 866 number and obviously the 602 number. That you can actually call in and actually speak to somebody at the actual weather desk itself. And these classes are not just for ham radio operators. So if your wife wants to, your girlfriend, or your next door neighbor wants to get involved or something like that, they can actually take these classes as well, because they can phone their reports in. Or they can, technically speaking, they really don't, they discourage people from calling a friend and saying, hey, can you report this information to the National Weather Service for me? Here's my spotter ID and stuff of that nature. But with amateur radio operators, they typically will take the criteria call or something. So I think it's a cool program. I'm scheduled for the April 11th at 7 p.m. over at the Gilbert Fire Department class, as well as the advanced class on June 5th at 7 p.m. over at the Gilbert Fire Department. You've got to, in order to take the advanced class, you have to take the basic class, and you're supposed to take the basic class I think it's every 2 years or every 3 years. You're supposed to go through at least the basic class just to kind of refresh, because they do change the criteria reporting. So it's always good to go in there and take the classes. Besides, it's good information. It's something that you can use on your own. You don't necessarily have to even call in a report. You can just take the class just for the information, and it's good information. So I highly encourage that. So tonight, the other topic that I was going to go over, and I don't have it marked down on my agenda. I think I have it marked down. Where did I have it? Oh, I have it right after the club news. Is there any club news that anybody wants to post up? Anything new, exciting going on that besides the camping trip that's going to be coming up, and then also field day. We'll be covering both of those here shortly, but I just wanted to see if anybody else has anything going on that you guys might want to maybe bring up for club topics or anything. I know that we don't have too many people watching us right now. We got 5 people watching us now. That's pretty cool. But if you got any club news, go right ahead and say something in the chat. Feel free to say something in the chat. If you got a question, comment, got a joke, go right ahead and post up. I feel free. Mind your P's and Q's. Kind of keep it clean. This is a family affair, so I want to try to keep it as clean as possible. But feel free to chat. Don't be hesitant. Announce who you are if you want to. So if there's no other club news, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot to the next topic, which is we're going to talk about connectors tonight. One of our newest members brought up the fact that he wasn't too sure exactly what type of connector that he was going to need for his scanner. Great question. And it gets really confusing because there's quite a few different connectors. Each connector is going to have its own different characteristics and why you would even need these different connectors. Some radios use one specific connector, some don't. Some use a whole different thing. Anyway, I decided to do a little bit of research on this and I found a really good article, and I will post this in the notes tonight. I'll go ahead and post this up too, just so that you guys have it. Here's the link to it, and I'll even post in the show notes tonight, as well as up on our website. And yes, I do know that the website is down. I think I broke it. I think I did an update and it just kind of busted the back end. I know that Chad knows about it, and he's going to be looking at it. Yeah, look at me. It was me. Unless it's broken too serious, and then I guess we could blame Vinny if we wanted to. But I figure I'll take the blame. I'll take the heat because honesty is the best policy. I don't know. Anyways, I will. Once the website gets back up, I'll post this information too, because this is great information. And I'll even post it in our forums. I really want to start using the forums a lot. So keep an eye open on the forums on our website. It's a great resource, great tool. Anyway, to our antenna connectors. Okay, there's quite a few different types of connectors out there. The first one that comes up on this article is a very popular one, and it's the SMA connector. And let me do this. Let me transition over to full camera really quick here. My little FT60R, great radio for beginners, by the way. If you can pick these up, they no longer make them, but if you can pick them up at a swap meet or a ham fest, do so. This thing it's really nice, very easy to program and everything. Anyway, what I wanted to show you is this little connector right here. If the camera will zoom in on it, it's a little connector, little SMA connector. If you compare, I'll put up this is an SO239. And if you look at the difference in size, it's definitely smaller. You know, I mean, look at the size difference right there. The reason why they make it small is so it can fit on the HT, for obvious reasons. Small in size and compact. HTs typically have like a 75 ohm connector inside of it. So it needs to have a different adapter. Most radios out there are 50 ohm adapters, with the exception of a few, and we'll go through those too. But the only difference is a 75 ohm, you need to have basically a 75 ohm load to connect it to. So your antenna needs to be almost like a 75 ohm. There is a way to connect it to a 50 ohm coax cable, you know, using a special adapter, or like this. This is a barrel connector. I hope everybody can see that. It's essentially, it looks like a barrel. So, but SMAs are really great for smaller little devices, little tiny little like Altoid can radios, anything small, just because they're compact as well. And yes, there are female SMAs. So the one that I have is considered a male SMA. There's also female SMAs, which typically come on the Baofeng radios. If you've got a Baofeng radio, you've got a female SMA connector. Again, it's a 75 ohm. There really is no standard across the path, so I always recommend, like Dennis typically will have an adapter. I try to have a couple.
I got dozens of them.
Oh yeah,
They all do.
Here's
going to connect up.
Here's one that's basically takes a PL259 or an SO239 239 to an SMA connector, and it's just a little pigtail. And the reason why I bought this is so when I connect up my larger antennas to my little HT here, this little guy right here, when I connect it up, now it's got a little bit of a flex to it, and it doesn't break the adapter. These adapters are very, very touchy and very, very sensitive. So I always recommend that you have some sort of way to do a strain relief or something of that nature. The next one is the UHF connector, which is the PL259 and the SO239. PL, try to remember PL stands for a plug. So if it looks like it's got a prong in the middle and you're plugging it in, that's a PL259, and the SO239 is the socket itself. At SO, just think socket. So it is 50 ohm. It's not 75 ohm, so it is 50 ohm, which is a typical standard radio is going to have a 50 ohm connector in the back. That's just the standard ham. I'm not going to go into the history of it, but just understand that you have to look, if you want to know exactly what type of a connector you have, you're going to have to look at it and analyze it and look. Now a type in connector and a UHF connector look almost the same, with the exception of the internal one. And I don't have a type in connector, or I would show it. I would hold it up there. Type in is pretty much almost waterproof. And I'm not going to say it is waterproof. I'm going to say almost waterproof, because water basically finds its way into anything. The nice thing is it does have a rubber gasket inside of it, and it does form a very nice tight fit to the actual center conductor of your coax. On this page, it actually goes through exactly, it's named after Paul Neal of Bell Labs. It was developed in 1940s for the military use. Again, that's the reason why it's almost waterproof. It's because the military requires a lot of very strict information there, or strict type radios, things of that nature. And it actually can handle frequencies all the way up to about 11 gigahertz. So it's used a lot of times in like cell phone connectors. If you go out and get a an antenna for your cell phone or something, typically it'll come with a UHF adapter, or not a UHF, a Type N adapter. I'm sorry about that.
Miniature.
Yeah, sometimes miniature, sometimes the full size. So then you have to find a connector that goes to the back of your, your wireless adapter or something like that. The next one is the bayonet, the BNC, the bayonet Neo concealment adapter. Let me transition back over here. Okay, so here we go. We got the Type N. Here's the UHF connector, the PL259 and the SO239. So you can see the difference here. And then you come down here towards the bottom, and now you got the BNC connector. Now, a lot of people say that the BNC stands for British Naval Connector, but according to most history, it was, again, Paul Neal from Bell Labs was the one who actually helped create it and everything. He created it in 1940s as well. So, the Type N and the BNC have very close. And I've got a couple of those connectors here. Where is my... hold on one second. So here I have, I'll switch over to the full camera here. Here I have a piece of coax. Here is a BNC connector. It's got a little ring in here that actually makes a really nice little connection to the end, to the other end, and it's waterproof as well, or nearly waterproof. And here is one that I have that goes from BNC. I hope that's coming through. I can't quite tell. I think that is BNC to an SO239. So this is an adapter. So if you have an antenna that requires a BNC connector and your radio has only a UHF connector, you have to have some sort of adapter. Now there is a signal loss in here, and I can't remember exactly what the but it's very minimum. I want to say it's like right around about I can't remember. It's very little. It's very marginal, but you do have to calculate the little signal loss in these connectors as well. But this one here, I just basically connected up to my UHF antenna, connected up to my, or to my radio. Let's see here, and then, well, I've already shown you that. Okay, so the other one is not really used all that much. It's a TNC adapter. You'll find it at very high frequencies, mostly like microwave and stuff. Somebody might be able to tell me a little bit out there. So those are the antenna connectors. I wanted to go over that because a lot of these connectors kind of get confusing with everyone, especially if you're going along doing, if you're brand spanking new, or you buy a new piece of equipment or something, you might sit there and go, oh no, I don't have a Type N connector. I've got to go get an adapter for it. You could definitely get an adapter. They're easy to buy, usually about like $2-3. Hamfest, there's a couple vendors that'll be out there, and that's what they'll have. They'll have a whole bunch of little plastic bins with just nothing but connectors out there. Great resource. Great place to go and get connectors, by the way, is a Hamfest. So, if you bring along like 40 or 60 bucks or something like that, you might pick yourself up some. It's always nice to have those because, I might forget, or Frank might forget, or or one might actually break, and then you're SOL. So tonight, what else did I want? All right, so the meat and potatoes of tonight's meeting is going to be, we're going to shift back over. I'm going to close a couple of these windows here. Okay, so we've got a camping trip coming up. I hope everybody, am I still keeping everybody's attention. Is there any questions or anything like that? If you guys have any comments, feel free to jump on there. Don't be shy. I'm too far away from you to bite or anything of that nature, and plus I do have my rabies shot, so we're good. We're covered. Anyways, we're gonna have a camping trip on April 6th, 7th, and 8th, which is a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're gonna go up to Timber Camp. I think almost everybody except for Chad has been there. There might be a couple other people out there that haven't been there. I like Timber Camp because there's a ton of tall trees. It just everywhere there's trees everywhere, so it's a great place. Beautiful site, close to the road, close to Globe. So if you forgot something, you forgot a loaf of bread, or you want to go in to get some dinner or something like that, you're more than welcome to drive into Globe and pick something up. Globe has quite a few different things inside of its town limits. There is a Walmart over near like Claypool, Miami area. So if you need to go to the grocery store, you can always go there. It's a fairly short drive. I'm not going to say it's like 5 minutes or anything like that, but it's a fairly short drive. And it's pretty close to the Phoenix metro area as well. So that's one reason why we go here. It's a short drive. It's probably about about an hour and a half, Dennis? Hour and a half, two
Well,
hours?
it's 20 miles out of Globe.
Yeah, so you're looking at close to about 2 hours to get there. I mean, unless you're doing land speed records or something like that. But the nice thing is there's plenty of trees, plenty of camping spots there that we can spread out. The last couple times that we were up there, it seemed like we had very little crosstalk amongst each other. So I like that. Good question, Corey. Good question. We'll come back. Let me answer Corey's question here, because that's a great question. Usually, a barrel connector is set up so that you can you can connect different types of radios to different types of antennas. It's also used to connect two different coax. So let's say you have a 25-foot coax. You forgot your 50-foot coax cable, but you brought your two 25-foot coax cables. You can always go right ahead and use the barrel connector. The one that I use the most is the SO239 to SO239 connector. So that's a great question. This one here I would use to connect to two different pieces of coax. So if I had, let's say, this piece of coax right here, and then this other piece of coax, which I'm not going to pick up because it's too long right now. It's like 25 feet, so I'm not going to pick that one up. But if I had two different pieces of coax, if this was two PL239s, I could go right ahead and connect both of them up like this, and then it would be one strand of coax. So that's a very good question. Any other questions? Am I going too fast, or am I making sense? That's the key right there. All right. Yeah, no problem, Corey. Definitely, that's what I like about this. It's an open forum. I do have a little bit of a delay, so you guys are catching me at I think it's like a 5 to 10 second delay. So if there's something that you want to ask, go right ahead and pipe up in the comments there, and then what I'll as it comes across, I will definitely see it, and I'll definitely step back for a second and answer it. Or if it's something that I can answer towards the end of the session, then I'll do that. But no, a great question, Corey. Definitely thank you for asking, because that's what we're here for. We're here for learning, educational purposes, not just about me and going camping. If this was the Orion Thrower camping show, most of you probably would not be here. So, um, and yes, I do like camping. Just in case you guys have not caught on, I do like camping. So, all right. So our camping trip. You've got here's where Mesa, Gilbert, Chandler, Apache Junction is. The easiest way is to come out US 60, go through Superior, come up through Miami, Claypool. Do not turn on 188 like we did for Winter Field Day. Winter Field Day we were up in this region right up here. Oh, I didn't transition over to the map. That's my bad. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so again, here's Mesa, Gilbert, and Chandler. Great area. If you guys, lots of jobs out here. So if any of you are not from town and want to come out, get a job, feel free. Anyway, you drive, take the US 60 all the way through Superior, go through Miami and Claypool. Do not turn on the 188 like we did for Winter Field Day, which is right up here at the Salt River. Salt River / Lake Roosevelt. It says Salt River, but technically, well, I guess the Salt River does flow through there. So anyway, you go through Claypool, go up through Globe, and you turn on the US 60 77 towards Show Low. If you get to the Salt River Canyon, which is right here, and you can tell by how many switchbacks you go down, and you drop down quite a ways, you've gone too far. So Timber Camp is right here. Very gorgeous area. Let me see if I can pull up a good street view of the area. There it is. I mean, it is just, it's gorgeous. I like this area. I'm glad that we found it. I'm glad that we were tempted to go do it. Just because you get back here into the campground. The only bad thing about this area is the fact that you do hear a little bit of road noise, but after about like 9-10 o'clock at night, it dies down quite tremendously because truck drivers really don't like the Salt River Canyon. There will be trucks going past, but there won't be as many as if you were on like I-17 or something. But to get to the regular camping spots, you basically turn left when you get in here. There's a little roundabout. I'll exit out and go into satellite view here. Down here is where all of our camping is going to be. There is a group site here. It's $75 a night.
No, not 75.
Is it not 75? Did they change it?
No, it's 10.
Well, for the regular camping.
Hang on, my
Yep.
phone's going.
All right. But for regular camping, it's like $10 or $20 or something like that. There is a kiosk there that you have to kind of go through and pay. But there is a group site that's like $75 a night.
Yes, I fed Arnold.
If we ever want to get, if we ever have a big enough
we're in the
group, we'll
middle
go
of
right
the
ahead and grab
video
the group site, which is nice. I mean, it offers a little bit of privacy, a little bit of camping area.
both dogs are
You
fed
can always
and,
close the gate and
probably all
negate
over the anyway.
other people from coming in and kind of ruining your party or something like that. So, and it's easy to get
Alright.
to. This is all paved. It's not dirt road or anything of that
Alright.
nature. Verizon satellite or Verizon wireless does come off of where is that hill? Right here. So we got cell towers nearby, so we got internet and everything. The only downfall is there is no running water, but there are toilets, and they're not the flushable toilets; they're the pit toilets. So, which is kind of a shame. I would like to have running water, because if we had running water here, I think we would probably go there for field day. But so that's where we're going to be at. Win is going to be April 6th, 7th, and 8th. Let us know if you're going to be coming up, because Frank wants to know how many people he's going to be cooking for. I think it's going to be Saturday night, Frank. Is that correct? I don't know if you can answer that or not. I believe it's going to be Saturday night. He's gonna do a little bit of cooking, but this is pretty much bring your own stuff. BYOS, I guess. If you don't have a radio, don't panic. We got quite a few of us that have radios, and we'll all take turns. The one thing that we do is encourage new hams to get on the air. We'll sit there and we'll coach you. We'll help you. We'll prompt you. We'll get you on the air, and then once you seem like you're feeling comfortable with being on the air, we'll walk away and let you do what you need to do. Let you get on the air. And if you have questions, feel free to ask. So the whole entire reason why we're going camping, we're going to try to do 4 campouts a year. Some of us can't necessarily make it all, but we figure that 4 campouts every 3 months we're going camping. Not necessarily in the same place, but hey, we got to try out new places, go see new sights and everything. But this is a non-contest weekend. Well, I mean, there's going to be contests, but we're not going to be participating in any of the contests. Hope that makes kind of sense. I mean, we could participate in, I think there's a couple QSO parties and a couple other things. I'd have to look at the calendar, but we're going up there just to have fun, to relax, get away from our jobs, stress, do a little bit of education. One of the things that Frank and I are going to be doing up there is we're going to be building the bandpass filters. We're going to be building just the prototypes, which we'll be discussing a little bit later. I've got the diagram and everything up on the screen here in a little bit. But what I wanted to do was kind of go over what the camp out, what to expect. When you get there, look for the guys with ham radio antennas on their vehicle. We're fairly easy to find. Typically, we're at the very, very back of this campground area, back in this region here. The only reason why we do that is just kind of get away from, any potential group going on. But it also allows us to kind of spread ourselves out back here. There is another little pavilion that's really nice. We could always use if we want to do like the group camp cookouts or campfire. We will go around and talk with all the other neighbor people that are camping up there and invite them over and let them check out amateur radio. This is one way for the club to kind of give back to the general population. A lot of people think that what we do is we talk to aliens. Have you ever talked to an alien, Dennis?
Not yet, unless he's a Mexican.
Well, so there we go. We don't necessarily talk to aliens, but a lot of people have that misconception. They think that we're either, a whole bunch of, truck drivers driving around saying, 10-4, good buddy, where's your rubber ducky? Where's the bear and things of that nature, which is not really what amateur radio is. But they also think that we talk to aliens for some strange reason. So what we try to do is we try to include a whole bunch of other people from around the area. If a ranger drives through, we'll talk to them. It kind of drives a little bit of public knowledge, public awareness of ham radio. And who knows, maybe the next new technician is going to be walking through there, and we just happen to be the seed that gets planted. So anyway, what you're going to need to bring, obviously, is shelter to sleep in, food, water, or drinks. Alcohol is permitted as long as you're not getting, hammered or anything like that. I think we've kind of talked about this all the time. You can bring a tent or a trailer or, your van. Dennis, if you want to bring your van, you're more than welcome to.
What else would I bring?
I don't know. Your little Prius. You're not going to sleep in your Prius? Okay.
It's not very comfortable.
One thing that you might want to bring is your towel. I think anybody who knows Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, since everybody believes that we talk to aliens, it's fitting to bring a towel along with you. If you don't understand that reference, talk to me at the camp out. I'll kind of give you a little hint as to what it's talking about. Let's see here. So let's talk a little bit about field day. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I love field day. I think field day is a fun event. Let me pause there. Does anybody have any questions about the camping trip? We will try to be up on the rim link because we should be able to reach the Pinal Peak repeater from up there. I think that's the one that we were always getting into. So we will be up on Metrolink. You might want to call out WM7RC or KE7VLC or K1FMK. One of our call signs. We'll try to be monitoring the whole entire time, but there might be times when we're helping each other set up antennas. We will get out my antenna launcher and we will test it out.
I've got a new one too, made out of crossbow.
Oh, nice. Okay. So now we get several different ways to launch antennas into the trees. We're going to give it a shot. Take a look at it. Maybe do it. Well, actually, I'm not going to say may. We are going to do a video of it. Just because I want to post that up on our YouTube page as well. And we'll try to kind of do a little bit of a descriptive of what the parts are and everything. It's fairly simple to make. Quite honestly, I thought it was a lot more complicated. Frank made it into like just making chocolate chip cookies. I mean, it's very simple. So I was kind of surprised. So thank you, Frank, if you're listening in. Thank you for teaching us that at Winter Field Day. So let's get into Winter Field Day, or not Winter Field Day, regular Field Day, Summer Field Day. I guess it would be winter if you were in the Southern Hemisphere, but they don't participate. What Field Day is it's the one time a year that the ARRL encourages clubs, hams, EOCs to essentially get on the air. Have fun, get on the air. It is a contest, but it's not a contest. There's no trophy, there's no first place trophy or anything like that they give away. It's just for bragging rights. See how many contacts you can get. This year is going to be also, they're adding in the grid squares, although I don't fully understand exactly how they're going to integrate that, because in Logbook of the World all you do is you just submit your log. That's all it is, and it automatically calculates all the grid squares for you. So anyway, Field Day is usually held, actually it's always held, I think it's the fourth weekend of June. Somebody might want to correct me on that if it's not on this page. But this is a great time to get on the air. It combines public service, emergency preparedness, community outreach, and technical skills all in a single event. I mean, technically speaking, we can combine that into any one of our events, especially Winter Field Day. But a lot of people sit there and complain about contesters and how it's hard to find some sort of space to get on the air during a contest. Field Day, it's pretty much guaranteed wall-to-wall contacts going for Field Day. And the exchange is very simple. It's not very, very difficult. And we'll go in more in depth as we get closer to Field Day itself. I'm not going to go fully in depth as to what Field Day is and how to make the contacts and stuff. But what I wanted to do was point out the ARRL's webpage here for Field Day. In here, you can find basically everything there is that you have questions on about Field Day. I encourage every single one of you to look at it, especially since there is a printable PDF flyer for what is field day. Also down here you have the rules, the entry forms, and the info packet. You can come in here and print off the field day packet. Matter of fact, I recommend everyone does that beforehand, so you understand at least the majority of the rules. There's going to be some rules that you're going to be like, I don't understand this. But don't worry about a lot of this. I mean, feel free to read through it. And my recommendation is do read through it. Great information. But the most important part is this field day packet, this complete packet right here, which includes everything underneath here. Or if you just want to just know just the rules, you can click on the rules. And according to the ARRL, there were no substantive changes from 2017, which is good news because 2017 rules were actually fairly straightforward. Yes, there is the field day site locator. If you come over here, you can go to the locator page, and it does actually display. And if you notice, here's Arizona. This pulled up Arizona because it took my location off of here. There's only 2 sites right now. That means a lot right now. It means that there's a lot of clubs that probably have not solidified where they're going to be going. And let me go back to the Google Maps here, because this is going to be very, very important. Yes?
Can you do this by GPS coordinates? Because we could look up this Maidenhead Canyon.
Yeah, we can.
This might be an alternate
well,
site.
let's stop and look up Maidenhead Canyon really quick. Okay, what's the latitude? It's
34,256 and minus 112. 438.
Well, let's see what that pulls up here. Okay, so okay.
There's supposed to be a.
Well, there's no major roads. Does that look right?
Supposed to be near the city or town of Kirkland. You see a town there?
Okay, well, let's back out of here and let's see if there is a. Well, there's Crown King. So it's on the other side of Crown King. There's Paxton Place. Kirkland is going to be. Oh, where are you? Yeah, here's Yarnell. Everybody knows the
Okay.
hot shots.
The Gold Bar Ranch. That is near there.
Okay. Well, we can take a look at this really quick. Not too bad. I wonder.
It's a dude ranch.
Ooh, looks like it's got some trees there. We might have to.
Anyway, I thought it was an alternate since we're going to do this grid chase thing, and it's. Maidenhead to Maidenhead.
Okay.
Since that's the only Maidenhead in Arizona.
I got it.
It's not showing up on your map though for some reason.
Well, the name of it isn't, but if I go here, it's showing in this little area, this little canyon right here. Oh, let's see here. Do I have layers? Do I have layers? Do I have layers? Where is my layers? Anybody know where?
Sure, I got that right.
Ah.
It's off Senator Highway, and you're on Crown King Road.
Okay, so Frank gave me a little bit closer. Can't find it. Probably because I'm including these stupid commas. Not llamas, commas, people. Yeah, maybe put a space in there. Yeah, maybe that's too much.
Yeah, that don't want to. I don't have that many.
We might have to look into this a little bit more because that might actually not be a bad spot. Yeah, true. Let's see if just Maidenhead Canyon comes up. Yeah, well, Maidenhead Canyon, Arizona. Yep, that's the location. So we're back in here. We'll definitely have to look and see.
There's a road, or is that
Well, that looks like
wash?
that looks like a wash.
Yeah, that is a
I mean,
wash.
if I borrow my dad's, yeah, Frank goes, it's going to be 4-wheel drive only though. Yeah, I would have to borrow my dad's Razor to get everybody back there.
Yeah.
That's going to be, unless you guys want to hike back there. I mean, we could probably, yeah, even that road right through there, that's going to be up and down a wash. I mean, I could take a Razor back there and I would have no issue with that.
Yeah, it's kind of sketchy.
Yeah. Unless somebody wants to rent us a helicopter.
Well, I do know. I should have pulled this up myself, but
well, there is a Maidenhead Canyon, so we know that. And I like the fact that it's, you know, I see exactly where Dennis. I see where you're going with
we
this.
could be saying
Maidenhead
this is Maidenhead,
Squares.
are only
Yep.
calling Maidenhead England,
Yep, yep.
and all grid squares in between.
I like that idea. I like that idea. That's a great concept there. That's very funny.
But that's not the one I'm thinking about then,
No?
because it was a lot closer on the map I saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be too bad to go back here. We'd have to talk to them and see if we could find a couple places to put some tree for antennas. But I bet you anything they would probably be okay with it.
Well, I mean, if somebody didn't want to camp out or anything, it does have a campground there though, Bradshaw Mountain Campground.
Yeah. Chad, I don't know if Chad's on here or not. Has anybody ever been to the Bradshaw Mountain Campground? Any thoughts about that? Because there's a cemetery too. I guess if
Oh well.
Yeah. Anyway,
No, we know more now than we did.
Here's where the Granite Mountain Hot Shots Memorial is. Just throwing that out there. Yarnell's right here. You know, you guys probably have heard of this. There's supposedly a movie out there. I haven't seen the movie yet. So, anyway, what we were going to be doing, where we're going to be camping at, is going to be up off of, well, come through Payson. And normally, we go straight through Payson, go through Pine and Strawberry. But this year, you do not do that. What you're going to do is you're going to turn right and go through Star Valley. Here's Cole's Ranch. Go through here. Christopher Creek's over in this area right here. And you come up to the top of the rim. Here's Woods Canyon Lake area. Here's where the Rim Lake is. And here's Willow Canyon Lake. And you come down Young Highway, and it is marked, and it is a very big. It's gravel, but it's fairly prominent. And we're going to come down here to which road is it? I'm going to switch over to satellite view because I know it right away. 79 right here. We're gonna. What's that?
Poon Camp?
Poon Camp. Yeah.
That sounds kind of ominous there.
Well, I think that was probably, yeah. Okay, so it's paved to the all the way down to this FR road. I guess apparently
Off
they
the
have.
Young Highway, huh?
Yes, Young Highway. Oh, it is paved. Okay. Because like 10 years ago, I think it was all rock. Because I ended up having a flat tire on my Ford Taurus way up here or something like that. I can't remember, or like up in here or something like that. Anyway, come down the Young Highway. Down to 79. Let me zip out of here. I know I'm going fast. And then you're going to exit off on 79. Now we've got several different campsites along here marked, and I wish the website was up. But we've got plenty of time to go over this. We'll go over all the plans and everything. So what we're going to do is there is a campground back over here is where we're planning on camping, at least one of the spots. We've got this campsite. I think there's one here, one here. I think I marked this one as well as a couple over here. So I've marked them Bravo Charlie Delta. We will post up exactly where we're going to be, so everybody's going to have to pay attention to our website as well as Facebook page, because we're going to I'm going to be throwing this out. But we got a long ways to there, and this information has actually been posted up on our website. Yes, I know that the website is down tonight, so you can't jump on over there and take a look at it really quick. But Frank has been in this area quite a few times, and he was the one who suggested we go here this year. It's free, so there's no cost. The downside of a no-cost campsite is no water, no toilet. So we're going to have to dig our own little pit toilet and stuff of that nature. The nice thing is, for those of you who do not want to camp out but want to come in and enjoy some time, if you call up there now, you can probably reserve a hotel room over at the Forest Lakes Lodge, and there is a general store, so we can get ice pretty easy. And this is kind of a major highway right through here. This is the 260 highway, and it does get busy. If you want to go fishing, okay, and Frank says that the Forest Lakes Lodge and the general store is about 7 miles away. So if you're not a camper and you don't want to rough it, I would probably call up now and reserve my spot if you can. Otherwise it might get full, because there's going to be a whole bunch of other hams that are going to be going up there as well. But over here you got the Willow Springs lake over here. You can always come and fish. My recommendation is make sure you got your fishing license, because we're not bailing you out. But it's not too far away either. I mean, you come up the Young Highway and then come around, and you can come up over here to the back side of it and hike down and fish along the shoreline. Because I know Joanne likes going and taking her kids down to the lake. Great area. Or if you really want to be a little bit more adventurous and be in a lot of crowd, you can always come over to Woods Canyon Lake. That's not a bad area, but it gets crowded, especially on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anybody in Arizona who's ever thought, oh, I'll go up to Woods Canyon Lake, you get up there and you've got nothing but campers and tent campers and stuff of that nature every single weekend. I have a hard time ever finding a spot to do anything on the weekend. Anyway, there's a lot of good tall trees down here, and I'll drop down to this little spot here. Here's kind of a good view. Well, hopefully we're not going to have this type of a view when we go in June. If we have this type of a view, we're going to have a little bit of issues. I think it's going to be a low turnout. Anyways. So, for Corey, yes, we do get snow in Arizona. This is high altitude, about like 8,000 feet. So, anyway, a lot of good tall trees. I mean, it's a great little area. Let's see if there's another spot we can get. I thought there was a couple more, and it's not showing up. Daggone it. Let's see if we got. Come on. I thought there was a couple others. Anyway, there's a lot of good tall trees in this area. I might have to go in here and contribute a couple pictures to Google for their little spot there. But yeah, so here's roughly where we're going to go camping. Corey, you are invited if you want. If you want to drive all the way over here in the summertime, feel free. Oh, and Frank did send me a photo, but it's on. I'll have to post that photo a little bit later on our website and everything. Thank you, Frank. So that's where we're going to be going. It's a nice little area. I like it. It's a little bit higher in elevation than where we normally go, by about, I think, 500, 600 feet, roughly, give or take. I think that's about all I could say right now. So, so, good question, Corey. Temperatures are going to be around up there. It's going to probably be mid to upper 80s. At least that's the way it's been the last couple years. During the daytime, and then nights get down into the 50s, possibly 60s. I know one year I was up there on the rim around that time frame, and it got a little bit on the chilly side. We had some good thunderstorms come rolling through, though. That was the fun part. If Chad was on here, we could. Well, I'll just go right ahead and tell the story anyways. One year we had Chad decided to put his drone up to take a look and see where these storms were. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen a drone fly or flown a drone, but we got the drone above tree level, and all of a sudden it was getting gusts of like 40 to 50 mile an hour winds up there. And I kid you not, Chad was sweating bullets. I was sweating just because of the fact that we thought we lost his drone. His $2,000 drone, we thought, oh great, it's gone. We had hit the call home button on it, and we were sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally the winds kind of died down enough for the drone to start making its way back to camp. And once it got back, I mean, I think the battery was down to like 8% or something like that. I mean, it was really, really super low. And it was only up there for maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. But because it was fighting that wind so hard, it just drained that battery. And that night we ended up having torrential downpours. We were all huddled in our tents and stuff of that nature. And it was so loud inside the tent, we were having to scream across at each other just to hear each other in a normal conversation. So that's how loud it was. A lot of good lightning, a lot of good, I don't know if it hailed that year. I don't think it did. I think it was just all nothing but heavy rain. And that was an interesting year. So, we're going to have a little bit more possibilities of storms coming through. This area typically gets a lot more storms, mostly because of the lakes and everything. But it is higher elevation, and it's right on the edge of the rim. So you get that sudden altitude change where down below it's like, I think it's probably like 4,000, 5,000 feet. And then on top of the rim, it's like 8,000 feet. So all of a sudden you've got that rush of air that goes up there, cools down, condenses the moisture, and just drops. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to definitely experience this. If this is going to save us some money, then I'm definitely game for it. So we'll talk more about this at a later time, because obviously, I mean, it's April or coming up on April. This camping, the field day is going to be in June, so we got plenty of time. So, any other questions, comments? All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep the map up. We're going to talk about some club projects. I'll bring up the SSTV a little bit later here, right after I go through the club projects and everything. This is the slow. I'll get to the slow scan TV in a little bit here. Let's go over some of the club projects. Some of the things that we've got going on. I mentioned a while back that I was going to be getting into kit building. I did finally order a micro BitX.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Oh, great.
However, they're always on back order.
Well, yeah.
So, because they're really popular right now. A 10-watt rig, fairly easy to build. It does a really good job. I can't blame them. So I just got to be patient, wait for it.
Yeah, you're keeping Indians in
Yeah.
employment.
Yeah, yep.
In India.
Because it's made in India. For those of you that don't know, it's made over in India. It's I think they've got like maybe 20 people, 20. I think they're ladies that are building these. So it gives them a little bit of money, gives them a paycheck and everything. Helps them teach and everything. So, anyways, I did finally order a Micro BidX, and I can't wait to actually get it. I really want to do this so bad. It looks like it's a great kit. So we'll definitely do that once the kit gets here and arrives. I'll take what I'll do is I'll sit down with Frank and maybe Vinny, and we'll sit down and we'll build the first kit. We'll get it all together. We'll do some videos and photos and kind of do a little bit of write-up for our club, show you what's going on and everything. And then if we think that it's worthwhile, then what we'll do is we'll encourage our club members. What we'll do is we'll tell everybody to order it at the same time. I think it's like
$109.
It's $109 for regular shipping, which could take upwards of 2 to 3 weeks or something like that to get here. I did the rush delivery, which is about 7 days. So once it's made, once it's kind of put together over there, it should only take a week to get here. So as soon as I get notified, I'll let everybody know that it's on its way. And then what we'll do is we'll sit down and kind of build through it, do a step-by-step guide on how to do it, take some pictures of it. I know there's other websites that have already done it, so we're kind of coming in at the probably midway of through it. But what I want to do is I want to start getting the club a lot more active, especially on the down months. When we're not camping, I would like to try to do some sort of get together in a park or something. It's going to be a little difficult in the summertime for obvious reasons. I don't think everybody wants to sit out there with a hot soldering iron working on these projects. Of course, I don't think at that point in time we'd need a soldering iron. I think it'd be hot enough to melt the solder as it is. Anyways, so I've got that on its way. So let's talk about the bandpass filters. I love these bandpass filters. We've used a couple in the last field day that we were on, and it worked out really, really well. This prevented crosstalk. What a bandpass filter does is it takes in incoming, basically all the radio waves coming into it, and then what it does is it selects a specific frequency range depending on your inductors and your capacitors. There's different size capacitors and different size inductors to set up inside the schematic to do this. And what it does is it chooses specific frequencies to actually pass through, so everything else is kind of attenuated out. This page is up on our Facebook page as well as our website, and I'll repost it. I'll keep posting it. I'll post it in our forums page and stuff of that nature. I highly encourage you to go out and read this article. This article is a great article. You can print it out.
Well, it's simpler than the ones I found.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you take a look at the picture, I mean, it's really quite simple. I've got the diagram up on my whiteboard over here. It's actually a very simple. I was quite surprised. The hard part is trying to find the capacitors for it. Some of the ceramic capacitors are like out of stock or on back order or something like that. So you end up having to get the silica mica ones. And like Frank can attest, those things get expensive. Yeah. You're looking at like $3 to $4 a piece. Okay, now you're probably sitting there going, "Wow, that's pretty cheap." Well, a regular ceramic capacitor might be like 30 cents or 40 cents. So you're looking at almost 1,000 times more. Yeah, you end up paying like $43 or something like that.
Scroll up to you got a parts list there?
Okay,
Got a
yes.
circuit.
Okay, so here is the circuit. You've got the what is it? The capacitor, and then you've got the toroid, which is the inductor. These things right here, we're going to have to wind that with wire. So this is where the build part comes in, because we're going to have to build this whole entire circuit. Now going back, this in and out symbol over here, these two little symbols, that's what these little guys are. These little guys, they're chassis mount little SO239s. You put 4 bolts in, 4 little nuts on the end of them, and you screw them into a piece of plastic or something of that nature. We'll go back over to the schematic. So here's the actual parts list right here. I recommend the T80-6 cores for the toroids. And then it tells you, let's see here, I believe that these are the amount of turns, I think.
Yeah, it says L1, L3, number of turns.
Yeah, okay. So here's the capacitors, the C1, C3, C2, and these are in picofarads. One of these days we'll have to go through nomenclature. This is megahertz. And if you get too many megahertz, it turns into a mega bad day. But then you got the picofarads, and then the micro. I can't remember what it's in. Henrys. That's it. Thank you, Dennis. I knew I had you over here for a reason, other than your good looks. So. Yeah. Anyway, these are how many turns you have to do on each one of the toroids in order to get the inductance. So you kind of have to do a little bit of yeah, here's the here it is right here. This is how many turns. So 22 turns on the L1 and the L3 toroid, and then on the L2 you have to do 69. So
well, you know, on the 1.8, not necessarily go there because nobody's on that frequency hardly.
Yeah. And we rarely get down there. So chances are probably what we'll be doing is we'll do the, we'll definitely do the 14 megahertz, the 7 megahertz, and the 3.5. That's 80 meters, 40 meters, and 20 meters. We might possibly do a 21 megahertz, which is 15 meters. But these are the bands that were pretty much popular and pretty much on all the time. So let me show you what a toroid looks like. For those of you that don't know, it's basically this. It's a toroid.
And the color denotes tells you what the frequency range is.
Yeah.
And we'll probably use the yellow ones or red ones.
Yeah, either yellow or red. I got the yellow ones, and they were actually fairly cheap. I was quite impressed that they were not too expensive. There is a place out of Florida that does them. I got a package of 25 of them, and I think it was like $4, $4 or $6 or something like that. So you know, a little bit of money goes a long way. The thing is, like, Chad's bought a couple of these through like DX Engineering and everything, and I think he paid something like $150 to $250, I think, for them. I can't quite remember, but like Frank said, eBay and a place in Florida, he basically came in for about $20 for all the caps that he's going to need, and I think mine was close to about $30, I think, $30 or $40, something like that. So I mean, quite honestly, if you think about it, you're building it for about $50, you know, not including the case. So you're going to need to go out and buy a case, but a case can be anything. I mean,
well, and like that shows, you could just use a aluminum handy box.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you can, these things here, the holes where the pipe goes in are just perfect for mounting the 259s.
Yeah. So I mean,
drill and tap.
You know, and you can, you know, and you can get, you know, you can find other boxes.
Oh yeah.
Ranging from like plastic to metal to aluminum to titanium, and I mean, if you can find some unobtainium, um, you know, if you can find it, you can build it. So, the whole entire goal of this was to, first off, be educational. Second off, be cheaper than going out and actually purchasing it and showing that people, hey, listen, you don't necessarily need to go and purchase this stuff.
No.
If you do a little bit of research, I mean, you're talking several solder joints that you're going to have to do. Soldering is fairly simple. It gets a little complex and everything, but like I said, I mean, we're here. We're gonna help you out. If you're interested in doing this, come watch us build a couple of these, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do a club project. We're going to set up at a park somewhere. We'll pay the little $35 for the little rotunda fee or whatever it is, and what we'll do is we'll bring our little generator down and we'll fire it up, and we'll sit there with the soldering iron, and we'll go through this whole entire thing. I've got a bigger whiteboard now that I can actually remove off of the wall and bring with me, so we can draw the diagram up and show you what's going on. But again, like I said, my recommendation is print this whole entire document off and actually read through it. It's great information, and it's out there on the internet. So that's that. The other project that we're going to want to do is learning how to build either like a 9-to-1 or a 4-to-1 Balun or Unun. I know
have all the information on that stuff.
Okay, so Frank has quite a bit of information, Frank has some information because he just built one, and Dennis has information on how to build it as well. And that's going to be another one where you're going to need a toroid, and we'll
Well, all you really need is those things they put in AC radios, AM radios, which I can't think of, loop stick antenna thing, and I've got a bunch of those.
Okay.
And if anybody wants to buy them, they can go to Gold Mine Surplus, and they have them for like $1 a piece.
Okay. So these are little things that you don't necessarily need to have. You don't need to go out and buy it. Here's basically the circuit layout. So you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, possibly 15 solder areas. This is an easy project. I mean, you can always get even more complex if you want. Here's a 5-pole Butterworth bandpass filter. So there's a lot of good information, and my recommendation is print this document out, take some time and read through it. I like it. I'm going to enjoy it. I've always kind of wanted to start making some of my own equipment. But if you want to do it the easy way, you can shell out the $150, $250 or whatever it is and buy them offline if you want. The nice thing about buying it offline is it's pretty much guaranteed to work. The solder joints are not going to necessarily come apart unless it's made by MFJ, which the acronym is actually Mighty Fine Junk. At least in ham radio terms, it is. So that's 2 projects right there, plus the Micro BitX project that will eventually come up. Keep your eyes peeled for that on our website and Facebook page. These we'll do at a park or something like that. It's something simple that we can sit around and do under the shade or something like that, and kind of relax and talk and learn a little bit about learn a little bit about these parts and stuff of that nature. Hopefully we won't explode any caps, but it does happen. I know Corey went through DeVry too, and I know that there was quite a few people at the electronics lab would always be blowing caps for, they'd hook it up backwards or something like that, and they would pop, and it sends a little loud bang and a little loud pop. It's kind of fun to watch sometimes.
Stinks.
Yeah.
No. Smelly.
Yeah. So here's some information on how to make a balun or an Unun. Um, you can. Here you go. You pick a connector. You got your choice of connectors. There are these little round ones. I like the square ones because it has now 4 corners and it prevents it from rocking back and forth. But this one, just as much. So there's one in action right there. That right there is what a balun is going to look like, essentially. You got that toroid right there again. It's a 3-dimensional, basically donut shape.
Does it say which one? What they are? 4-to-1 or what is it?
No, that one doesn't say. I think this one was a 4-to-1. I think this one was this is a 4-to-1 current balun.
That's pretty standard size.
Which is
type.
it's pretty standard. The 4-to-1s, the 9-to-1s are usually pretty standard.
They're a little trickier to wind.
Yeah. And I know. Well, Frank, do you still have those pictures of your Unun up on Facebook? Let me look you up here really quick. Let me see if I could pull up Frank's Unun here. Where is it? There it is. Look at that nice, pretty little work right there. That's some handiwork right there.
That's a nice one.
It's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
He did a really good job on this. Here's what it looks like when it's in his little case. I think he picked that up
nice
at
case,
Lowe's. Frank, was that $7? I think it was. Very nice, very nicely done, very nicely laid out. Frank, you should be proud of that. I think you need to hang that up on your wall, or you know what? Even better, hang it up on your antenna. Great place to put it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. $7 for this little box right here. $7, and it's a 9-to-1. But that's what it looks like closed, and I mean that is just that's some handiwork right there. So good job, Frank. I'm proud of you. Very proud of you. But these are little projects that pretty much anybody can do.
Yeah.
A little bit of money. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars to do this.
I use a doorbell wire to wire them up.
Okay.
It's cheap.
Cheap.
Yeah.
You could always go to
colors.
Wireman.
Usually you have to have 2 different colors to designate the different
windings.
Yeah. But I do mine on stick, not. I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
You don't use the toroids?
No.
Okay.
That's because I have a whole bunch of those.
Oh, well, see, there you go.
I bought a bunch of them a long time ago.
That's the wonderful thing about ham radios.
15 cents a piece.
Not everything that you use has to be bought or purchased.
No.
But this is a great education. What if SHTF, crap hits the fan, and you need to communicate or something like that, and you need to throw up a couple pieces of line or something like that.
This looks like one for a single-ended antenna.
It does.
It's got a ground thing and just one thing for.
I'm going to say it's
wire.
probably used for probably a random wire.
Yeah.
With maybe a counterpoise, allowing a counterpoise to come off of this end right over here, and then would be the antenna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Frank says the enamel wire isn't the easiest to use, but it looks great. So obviously it does. I mean, this versus what the picture of Frank's. I mean, I would take Frank's over this any day.
Yeah.
However,
but this is quite a bit smaller than Frank's.
Yes, true. So, but you can always find these little projects. They're all over the internet. You can always just type it in. Just type in like an Unun or a 9-to-1 balun or something like that. And this guy right here, I decided to make my own and did it for less than $5. I mean,
yeah.
You could probably, if you went out to HRO or something like this, and if you were looking for
I've bought
an
some
Unun?
4-to-1s. They're like $30.
Yeah, they're thirty to
I bought
$40.
one,
I
tore it
mean,
apart and looked at how they made it.
yeah. So now you're saving yourself, good $25. That $25 could go into your next radio, later on down the line when you want the 7300 or something like that. um, let's see here. Yeah, so here it is. It can match a 200 ohm antenna to a 50-foot feed line. Not too bad, especially for $5. Yeah, so okay, so over here, mine. Frank says that his uses 16 AWG American wire gauge wire, and it's good for a lot more than 100 watts, probably closer to 500 without any issues.
100 watts is 1.4 amps. So
Yeah.
any wire that's good for 1.4 amps will work.
Will work, yeah, pretty much. So, these are little projects that I think that would be great for the club. Something simple, something that we could get elaborate if we really wanted to, but at the same time doing a little bit of education, teaching a little bit about antenna physics, teaching a little bit about, capacitors and stuff of that nature. So I definitely wanted to start doing these little projects. Of course, now summer's coming up, so that's going to make it a little bit more difficult to get out and do, unless we go over to somebody's house that is willing to open up their house to having people come over and sit around at a table. And,
we could do it in my house too if we need to, because I got a hobby room.
Okay, so there we go. So there we go. I mean, that's quite a few things here that we've got. I've got a couple personal projects that I'm going to be working on. And some of these personal projects are something that Frank and I have been discussing and wanting to do together, as well as kind of separate and everything. One of this is satellite contacts. I did, and I didn't. Oh shoot! I didn't build my antenna out. Darn it! Oh well. Anyway, I bought an Arrow antenna, an Arrow Yagi antenna, and let me see if I can pull it up over here. Let me. They're fairly expensive, but quite honestly, I like this antenna. I'll go with the new.
Oh, that's a dual bander.
Yep, it is a dual bander. This one isn't quite the one that I bought, but it's the one that I was thinking about buying in the first place. But the only difference between this one and the one that I bought is the elements are a little bit longer, because this one's made for Alaska. Alaska's typically up in the high altitude, so if you're trying to hit something that's over the equator or something, you've got a long ways to go, which means you need more gain. Anyways, so I've got one of these. Comes out into a single. It pairs it up into a duplexer. You can always buy them without a duplexer, but then you're going to need two radios or two antenna connections. I opted for the duplexer. Most radios only come with one port. I got out this past weekend. It was really late at night. It was like 7 o'clock or something like that. So I was out in my front yard trying to catch AO85, which is one of the FM transmitter satellites that pass overhead. And I did actually hear it. I tried to communicate to it, but oh my gosh, I tell you something right now, it is difficult. It is.
It moves.
Yeah, it moves, and it moves fast. And you got to constantly keep an eye on your own little, your laptop or something, to keep an eye as to where that satellite is passing overhead. Oh, I tell you what, it was fun. I will have to say that I did enjoy it. I did hear about 6 or 7 different stations on there, all basically trying to compete with each other because it's the wild, wild west up there. But I was using essentially this antenna and then my FT60 to connect, or to attempt to connect, I should say. So to find the amateur satellites, these are fun to do. However, it is difficult. I'm going to say right now, hands down, this is probably one of the toughest things I did, or I have ever done. Um, Getting on HF is simple. It's kids play. Anybody could do it. Satellite takes a lot of patience, a lot of trying to figure out.
Tracking deal.
Yep.
How fast it goes across the sky.
So you go over to AMSAT. This is the Amateur Satellite website, Radio Amateur Satellite Corporation. There's a lot of cool news and everything. This is the guy that runs it. You come up over here to satellite info, go to the past predictions, and you type in, okay, we're in grid square DM43. That's the Maidenhead grid square now. And we'll calculate the position. I'll show the predictions for the ISS. That's the International Space Station, just for anybody curious. We'll hit the prediction. Here are the next predictions for the ISS passing overhead. One thing that you have to remember is this AOS, the what is it? The acquisition of signal, and then the loss of signal. So AOS is when you're going to start hearing it, or when you should roughly hear it, and then the LOS is when it fades away and it's no longer visible. This is all in UTC, so you're going to need to know how to convert your local time to UTC time. Arizona is -7 all year round. Dallas is going to be something different. I want to say it's going to be a mixture between, I want to say -5 and -6. I can't quite remember exactly what it is. You'll have to look that up or look for a UTC calculator. The next thing that you want to look at, it sounds like Sky's having a dream right now. The next thing you want to look at is the duration of time. Notice, I mean, 10-minute pass. 10 minutes. Hit the little timer. You've got 10 minutes from the time it comes up to the time it goes down. That's not a lot of time, and that's one thing that makes this thing really, really tough. You got the azimuth. And we'll go over this a lot more in depth when we go out to like camping or something like that. Field day, we'll do a little bit of training on this as well. But the azimuth is actually in degrees, and I believe it's in degrees magnetic, or no, true. So you're going to have to kind of convert true north to where you're at. But that should usually be fairly simple. I mean, most people
like
kind of
7 degrees from.
Yeah, from magnetic. A lot of these satellite guys carry a compass with them, and they'll put the compass down and they'll look and see where it is, and then kind of figure out roughly where north is. So the AOS azimuth on this pass right here is going to be 279. So that's 279 degrees. That is roughly facing due west. And it's going to be, and the max elevation is going to be 10 degrees. And the max elevation azimuth is going to be 339. So it's going to be coming from the west. It's still going to be over towards the west, up to about 339 degrees north, degrees. So it's going to be roughly about north. And then that's going to be the max azimuth, and then the LOS azimuth is going to be 28 degrees, so 028. For those of you who have no navigation background, we're talking degrees here. So 360 and 000 are identical. South pole is going to be 180 degrees. West is going to be 275, or 270, sorry, my bad. And then east is going to be 090. That's going to be all in degrees. So you're looking on this pass right here. It's going to come up roughly due west. It's going to be up for about 8 minutes, 8 minutes and 37 seconds. It's going to have about a 10-degree elevation, so it's only going to be above the horizon at about 10 degrees. It's not going to be visible too well. So if you've got trees or buildings in your way at between the 0 and 10 degrees, you're probably not going to hit it unless you can get up high or be in a big, huge, wide open field. And then the max elevation is going to be at roughly about 339 degrees, and then the loss of signal is going to be 28 degrees. On this pass where it says 10 minutes 21 seconds, you got a bigger elevation. You got a bigger azimuth where you can hit 32 degrees up in the air. That's pretty high. But if you want to see where the current location of the ISS is, and there we go. So it's up above Lake, what is that, Superior?
Mm-hmm.
Right now it went over like Seattle area just not too long ago. But this little dotted path is the predicted path as to where it's going to go. So that's roughly where it's at. To get the signals, and I'll go in more in depth in this. I just want to kind of blow through this because this was a personal project of mine. But if you want to know, okay, so you can come in here and look at AO85 and AO91 are pretty popular. AO92 just came up. So, yep, okay, so Frank says that Seattle is the next path. We had about a 6-minute pass roughly about 30 minutes ago. So that means it was visible in the sky for roughly about 6 minutes. That's not a lot of time.
Mm-mm.
But the ISS is really easy to spot. It's really bright. And it's fun to spot. But if you want to come in here, you can come down and look at okay, the one page that I definitely highly recommend people look at is the station and operating hints. This one in here, it'll tell you, okay, the Fox 1 operating guide, which is the AO85. It has quite a few different things about, okay, you know, here's an article, going portable with amateur radio satellites. Good information, really good information. There are digipeaters, and there is packet radio up there on some of these. Operating FM satellites. Let's see here. Where was the one that I like? It's this one right here. Here's the page that I recommend that everybody starts out with and prints. This just is really good information. Tells you exactly what Fox 1A is, AO85. It's got a satellite, it has an UHF uplink and a VHF downlink. Now on the UHF side of things, you have to take into effect Doppler shift. So as you're aiming towards the satellite, your frequency is shifted,
Yeah.
and you have to take that into consideration. So on my FT60, I actually had basically what I did is I programmed in 5 different channels. I had the same downlink because the downlink doesn't change at all, but the uplink changes. So what I had to do is I had to program in 5 different uplink frequencies, and they were roughly 5 kilohertz apart. So I had to calculate all that, and they actually do a very, very good job. Down here, they actually tell you Fox 1A receives on 145980. That's the downlink. The uplink is going to be 435.170, and so as your acquisition of signal, the AOS, which is when you are acquiring the signal, you're going to be 10 kilohertz below the 435.170, because that way it adjusts for the actual Doppler
Okay.
shift. Your signal is actually going to be technically 10 kilohertz higher than when you transmitted it, because that satellite's coming closer and closer. Just like a train whistle. If you've ever been down to a train and you hear a train coming to you, the horn sounds really, really high pitched, and then as it goes away, it goes. Well, that's exactly what happens with your frequency. So you have to compensate for that. So as it's coming closer, you have to be down lower so that it actually receives on that specific frequency. And then as it gets away, you have to be at a higher frequency so that the Doppler shift gets affected by it. That one, it took me a little while to figure out exactly how to get it programmed in my radio. And once I figured out, I was golden. But every single one of these tells you exactly what you need to do. So definitely look at this page. We'll do a deeper dive into it a little bit later once I get a little more confidence in me and make a couple contacts. Hold on 1 second here. Here's basically what I have. I have this, well, almost this antenna. I think I actually.
Yeah, he's got it on a
Yep.
tripod.
Yep, and he does have it on a tripod because I'll tell you something right now. When I was holding that out,
Yeah, it gets shaky.
it gets shaky and it starts hurting your arm. Even though it's like a couple pounds, it's out there. It gets. So I would like to get a tripod so I can mount it to the tripod. However, this is taking it one step further. Frank and I want to build a motorized one
Yeah,
that does the tracking automatically, so we don't have to do that. We can take that whole entire tracking thing out of the equation. There's a couple little, let's see here, like here's one here. I'll go ahead and play this really quick here. This is kind of, because we're getting close to the end. Might take a little while for this to load because this one was kind of a rough one, but it's a motorized mount that works through specific software. Here it is. So it's
okay.
actually tracking, and it shifts and everything of that nature. I would like to have it a little bit easier
So
on the
you've got
steps.
two planes of operation, up and down.
Yep, up and down. Yep, and sideways. So that's something that Frank and I would like to try to tackle one of these days, and I'm hoping that we can probably do it before field day. Not too sure. I don't know Frank's schedule, but it would be kind of fun to build. I think it'd be fun to test out.
I got a lot of DC motors, so.
Yeah. So I think we could do that. So now onto the SSTV. This, Frank and I had a fun time doing this last time. I think him and I, we were getting up at like, well, I don't know about Frank, but I got up at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to capture one of the satellites as it was coming over. And all I had was basically my UHF VHF radio, and I just turned it on and turned the volume up and let my computer run. It's not on this computer. There's a program called what is it? iRobot or Robot TV, I think is what it is. Let's see here. Oh yeah, and Frank says he left it on just automatic. His radio's in a whole separate room, so. But as it was coming across, we were getting some really cool slow scan TV images. Here's some of the images that were coming across. I had a lot of fun doing this. And all I had was a vertical antenna up on my roof. That's all I had. And I was getting some fairly decent pictures. I mean, there was a couple passes that my pictures were kind of horrible, like this. I mean, but you could still see it. You can still read it. You can still see that, okay, yep, it was, and I had fun doing it. I enjoyed it. This is something that anybody can do. As long as you've got a good antenna outside. You don't need a directional antenna. Directional antenna helps because it cleans up the picture quite a bit. So there might be a couple passes where what I might actually do is go out there with my handheld arrow antenna and actually grab them as they're coming across. I think that's what I'm going to probably do this time around. But I had fun. I think Frank enjoyed it. There was no nothing else that you really needed to worry about or anything. But it's going to be, I think it's this weekend. I think it is. I can't remember yet. Should be active Monday and Tuesday. And then it's also expected to be active from April 11th through the 14th. As part of the Cosmonautics Day, which is on April 12th. So I recommend looking this information up. Yep, 145.800.
Right, see what's up there.
And you can actually catch that fairly often. As soon as the ISS comes up over the horizon, oh man, that thing was seen. It comes in very, very clear. They've got a really good signal. So I recommend, anybody who's interested in doing satellites, check this out. This is something that's fairly easy. What I will do, let's see here. I'll go right ahead and do a video this weekend and post it on what program to use, how to get it all set up. Frank, if you can do maybe a short video on your setup as well, and then we can post it up to YouTube, and then that way everybody knows exactly what we need to do.
I have a couple of positioners from my old satellite dish. I don't know if they move fast enough to do this, but it'd be easy to fabricate.
Okay.
Because they just move in and out.
Yeah.
So you just have to tie one into the
shoot.
end of your
I
antenna.
didn't do the command that I wanted. Oh well. I was trying to do a... Ah, there we go. Yep, so there are several commands on our Nightbot, just so everybody knows. So current temperature 68 degrees. So that's just some of the little projects that I've got going on. Dennis, do you have any projects going on? Frank,
Well,
do you
I've
have
got
any?
in this same genre, I've got 3 VHF, 2 VHF, and 1 UHF FM radios all in one box.
Okay.
So
Okay.
with the intent of doing some kind of things like this.
Okay. All right. I just think that these are quite a few projects that, you know, technicians can do, generals can do, anybody new to ham radio can do. You know, I don't see anything really too major, too complicated with any of those projects. Do you see any? No. So, any other comments, questions? Do you guys? I know we went through a lot tonight, almost 2 hours worth of stuff. How was the video? How was audio? Am I clipping on the audio or anything like that? I will post this information once the website gets back up and running again. I'll go right ahead and post a lot of this information up on the website. I will post I think I already posted the Slow Scan TV on the ISS to Facebook. But you know, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to let me post my email address. There's my email address. KE7VLC@WM7RC. We can get any other members who want their email. You know, want to do a setup or something like that. We'll get Chad to get that all set up. Chad, I believe, is over in California tonight, so that's probably why he's not on, or he's probably lurking in the background. Don't know, you know, if he's out with the wife or whatever he's doing.
Posting stuff if he was listening.
I would hope so. This video will be actually posted to YouTube, because as soon as we're done with this, it'll process it and I'll get it all posted up on YouTube, so anybody can go through and re-watch it. You know, if they want to see our lovely faces again, you know.
Oh well, so much for that.
Let's see here. Was there something else that anybody wanted to go through? Had any questions or anything? You know, let us know. Let me know. Were the topics pretty good? Did we go too fast? Too many topics? Or, you know, what do you guys think? Let's see how many people were actually... we're down to 3 people. We had 5 people for a little while, so I think everybody's kind of closing down. Don't know what's going on with my feed, but so it is 8:24. I'm going to go right ahead and close. Okay, well, good. So Corey said that, you know, it was a great meeting. We learned a lot. That's what we intend here. Hope to have more guest speakers. I know you didn't speak too much tonight, but
No.
you typically are a quiet, reserved guy anyway, so.
I'm churning underneath.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what we want to do with these is I've got Wi-Fi, good Wi-Fi access now for when we go camping and stuff through my little Verizon. I've got a little Verizon Wi-Fi adapter now. I'll go right ahead and we'll do some live meetings out there. Facebook Live, YouTube
And
Live.
connect with the local cell tower.
Yep.
That'd be nice.
So I think we're good tonight. Thank you guys for participating. Thank you guys for jumping in there. If there's any topics that you would like to know or like to have presented, send it over to my email address or post it to Facebook or whatever, or even comment on the YouTube videos, and we'll go from there. Next meeting will be another virtual meeting. It's going to be good question. Let me pull up my calendar. It's the 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be April 24th is our next club meeting. It's going to be a virtual meeting. Dennis, you're more than welcome to come join me if you want.
I may. It depends on my company. I have my sister coming in for some graduation, so I might be back over here.
So, I don't have all the topics that we're going to discuss in April. May will definitely be our field day deep dive. That one is going to be a lot of information about field day. We'll go through a whole bunch of stuff.
We'll discuss some of it at camp out too.
Yes, we will. So,
6th, 7th, and 8th.
Well, with that being said, I'm going to say good night to everyone. 73. Hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night. Drive safe if you're out driving around or at a hotel room or bar or favorite watering hole or something like that. Drive safe. And for those of you who are catching our video later on this week or next week or maybe a month or two from now, feel free to keep an eye open for our live broadcasts. We'll be doing this at least once a month. If I got any other little learning or educational things, I might go right ahead and pop on and do an educational video or something like that. So feel free to comment. Keep it clean. It is family environment. We got to keep kids entertained, but at the same time keep them away from all the other stuff. So if there's any other questions, I'm going to go right ahead and close out for tonight. Dennis, any question? Okay. We'll close out. You guys all have a good evening. Talk to you later. 73s. KE7VLC for Whiskey Mike 7 Romeo Charlie. Out.